Under the Maduro regime, Venezuela is essentially a failed state. Failed states know no borders. Venezuela's ongoing collapse is already affecting economies across the region. It's giving drug traffickers, a transnational criminal organization, new opportunities to endanger our people. President Trump has made it clear. The United States of America will not stand idly by as Venezuela crumbles. Our administration has already imposed strict financial sanctions on more than 50 current or former senior Venezuelan officials. And 3 weeks ago, we cut off the so-called petro from the United States financial system. Last month, we also announced that we're providing, through the generosity of the American people, $2.5 million to help meet the needs of vulnerable Venezuelans living in Colombia. And yesterday, it was my privilege to announce that we'll add nearly $16 million more in direct aid to assist Colombia's efforts to come alongside those Venezuelans. To be clear, the United States and our allies and partners stand ready to do more, much more, to directly support the long-suffering Venezuelan people. But the world deserves to know that as the people of Venezuela suffer, lacking basic humanitarian aid, Nicolas Maduro stands in the way. Maduro stands today refusing to allow humanitarian assistance simply because he claims there is no humanitarian crisis, as his people starve and die and flee. I'll never forget when my wife and I visited the border of Venezuela in a visit to Colombia last year. We met a grandmother who had just made the long journey with her 5 grandchildren out of their small town in Venezuela. She told me with tears in her eyes how the poverty had become so acute. Her grandchildren had to stand in line at 5 in the morning to get a ticket to buy a piece of bread at 5 in the afternoon. And that was the sum total of the substance that was available to their family. But today, we call on the Maduro regime to open up their country to life-saving aid the Venezuelan people so desperately need. Allow me to thank the many nations here who've already taken action to support the Venezuelan people with assistance and aid. Nearly 2 million that have been displaced thus far, and the compassion and generosity of nations across this region is inspiring to see. Let me also thank those who've stepped forward to join us to rebuke and isolate the dictator Maduro and his brutal regime through economic and diplomatic means. Costa Rica has refused to let Venezuela's Minister of Defense land on its territory, setting a precedent for other nations to deny Venezuela official travel. Canada has sanctioned more than 40 Venezuelan officials. Argentina and Brazil led the effort to suspend Venezuela from Mercosur. Panama designated more than 50 Venezuelan officials as high risk for money laundering and recalled its ambassador from Caracas. And Peru withdrew Venezuela's invitation to this summit. Mr. President, that sent a powerful message that Maduro and dictatorship and his despotism is not welcome here, and I commend you.